audio is working. Let's have a look. Yeah, all right, that's good. Edit privacy, let's make it public. Good stuff. All right. All right, let's see if anyone's jumping on. 6 o'clock. Oh, get cracking. All right, if you're just about to join us, thank you for joining me on Sports Stories with Sasi. And today I've got Grant Holt, former Norwich City captain, and he also played for Sengkang Marina in the Singapore S-League, as it was called back then. As we wait for people to jump on the live show, we're actually live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, and we're live on YouTube. So quite a few places that we are live on. So if you are just joining us, thank you very much. Without any further delay, we've got loads to talk about with our next guest today. And without further ado, let me bring on our guest today. And he is Grant Holt. Hello.
Hey, Sas, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, good. Grant, thank you so much for taking time. Finally, we fixed to get on this show. Before we get on with your football, your life, it's been a pretty interesting ride. But what have you been up to since the whole pandemic situation, and what have you been up to?
Yeah, I think pretty much like everyone else. Locked at home, kind of not being able to do anything with the kids, trying to do the hardest job in the world, homeschool them, trying to make sure that they're doing the homework and just kind of doing stuff in the garden. As I said, in my profession, it's been quite nice because obviously we travel all over and sometimes we don't see the kids from a week to the next week and stuff like that. So obviously now I'm retired, it's been quite nice to be home, being with the kids day in, day out and doing that kind of stuff. So I think it's pretty much similar to like everyone. It's been at times pull your hair out stuff, sick of seeing each other sometimes. But no, for me personally, I've enjoyed it. It's been really, really good for me to be home with the kids. Obviously, with the job I do, we're constantly on the road and moving. So it's been quite nice.
The weather looks beautiful in the UK. Which part of the country are you at now?
Yeah, well, I'm back based in Norwich now, so we're quite lucky. We get the weather nice down here. We've got plenty of beaches and stuff. So now they've been open, and we're quite fortunate here. We haven't really had much of a hit with the pandemic, which is good. But I think everyone's been doing the right things. If we're going to the beach, social distancing and stuff. So it's we're very fortunate. So when the weather's been good down here, so we don't have to stand in a supermarket and get soaking wet outside while you're waiting to buy some groceries, which is good.
Yeah, just before we carry on with asking about how you started and how you scaled to the apex of the game, playing in the Premier League and becoming captain of Norwich City, what have you been up to since you actually quit? I know you've been doing a lot of stuff, but what's been keeping you busy?
A bit of everything, really. I came with a plan when I was coming out of football. I knew I wanted to do media. I enjoy doing the TV. I do a lot of National League games, Premier League games. And I really enjoy that. I'm also fortunate that I'm an ambassador for Norwich City, so I go out in the community, do a lot of work for the football club on match days or going to visit people in hospital or kids at schools. That's fortunate. And I also do recruitment and scouting for Norwich, so I'm all over Europe and locally and trying to find the next talent that's coming to our football club. And I do a coaching school. I work at a private school, Langley, in Norwich, where we've got our own football program where we take international students to come in, local students, anyone who's keen to be a footballer, we bring them into the school, work with them, give them one-to-one. There's three lads who work with me, all with A licensed coaches. So we do that and get nationals over and try and hone the skills, get them a little bit better, give them a fantastic education, and then try and drip feed them into the football. So I've got a lot of hats on. Keeps me pretty busy, but I always kind of had in my head that when I finished, I needed to do different stuff. I knew I didn't want to kind of go down one thing. I know you do a lot of stuff on the other side of finishing and mentally preparing yourself. And I had a gentleman that spoke to me about it a few years ago, and it's the best thing I've ever done. I've came out of it. I'm still lucky now. I still play football locally for a team who's in the non-league, so it keeps me fit as well, which is good.
Before we carry on with the show, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This show is brought to us by Matchday Affairs. So unfortunately, we can't travel at the moment because these guys actually do tours to the English Premier League, and they've been doing it quite successfully for the last couple of months. But since the pandemic and there's no fans and stuff like that, they've been hurting a little bit. But hey, go and check out their website, www.matchdayAffairs.com, and also make sure that you like their page. Grant, let's start with going back in time, right? Let's go back in time. Let's rewind back to you were a little boy, because you started your youth career with Carlisle United, right? Was that your hometown team?
Yeah.
Or go on.
They were my hometown team. I signed there when I was about 10, 11. That's when you kind of started. That's when they had teams. I played there up until I was 15. And then I kind of knew that I wasn't going to get anything, and I was kind of not really enjoying it. It was just a bit, sometimes it's just a bit too serious too early. And I was enjoying having the fun of playing football as a kid, and it just all got a bit too serious too early. And I kind of didn't fall out of love with it, but I just was enjoying the system. And then that was me. I made the decision to leave, and it was like the best thing I ever done. It was the most hard to leave your hometown club, but the most uplifting thing I ever done, because it let me go back and play with friends and play men's football and get enjoyment and smile on my face, and it was the best thing I ever done.
Well, you joined Walkington, am I saying, or Workington? Well, how do you pronounce them? Walkington?
Oh, yeah, you're second time. Yeah, you're right, Workington. Yeah,
Workington.
So
yeah.
I joined them at the time. They were just having a little bit of a rise, and I was fortunate enough to get in there. I played there for 7 months. At the end of the season, managed to get a couple of goals, and then luckily for me, there was a guy there who was really good friends with the Halifax assistant manager at the time. And he said, look, you need to come and have a look at this kid. He's scoring goals for fun. He's bright. He's enthusiastic. And literally, they came to watch me last game of the season where we won the league. And that was it, really. They signed me off the back of that, which was good.
While you were actually playing at Workington, you were also a tyre fitter.
Yeah.
Life has come a long way, isn't it?
I got reminded of that last week because I was actually doing one of my friend's truck tires, and I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't done this for a long time." It's one of the things that I've got a real big. I always try and say to our football lads, I'm very fortunate that I get to go in Norwich most of the time and speak to the young lads, and I'm quite known there and at the school and stuff when they come in. I always give a massive thing on education. When I was younger, it was all about being a footballer, and I keep trying to tell them I achieved it, but I didn't achieve it at 15, 16. And like you said, I came out and went to be a tyre fitter because I literally had nothing else. I'd flunked my GCSEs. I should have got 7 A to C's. I got 1, all because I put all my eggs in one basket and dreamed of being this footballer. Eventually, I achieved that, but it wasn't until I was effectively 20, 21-year-old where I really classed myself as a pro, to be honest with you. So I always said to the lads, look, no matter what career you're at, please get your education, because like as well, you finish at 29, 30 if you're lucky, 35 if you're really fortunate. And we've got a long time left. You've got nearly 20, 25, 30 years left of work.
Or more.
If you're going to come out, exactly, yeah. And if you come out of football, and we all know how hard it is, that everyone wants that one job in coaching, everyone wants that one job in recruitment. So for me, it's one of them things where I have a real big issue with people and say, look, get your education first, football second. And if you're good enough, you'll get your football regardless.
Yeah, but going back then, right, obviously that wasn't obvious for you, and even for me at some stage in school, I was always playing a fool, didn't really pay attention. Yeah. All I wanted to just play. Of course, on hindsight, we think about how important that is, right? Let's talk about, because you, from Halifax town, you had an opportunity to move to Sorrento in Australia. You went on loan there. But before we get to that, I want to thank everybody jumping on the show, the Bola Bola show. People are just pounding in the questions. There are loads of questions coming up. We'll get to all the questions, guys. Someone, Maza Ahmad, said, the man with the crazy left foot. Yeah, all right. That's you, I suppose. People are asking, like, how proud is the Norwich Academy with the Canwell's success this season? You also played for Huddersfield Town. So that's a lot of questions. As we move along, I'll pose all the questions to you. But let's get back to Sorrento. I believe that's the time that you actually met with Trevor Morgan, who also coached in Singapore.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a loan. What basically happened was I went to when I was at Halifax, I had a season there, and then the next pre-season, I was doing really well, playing games, really fit, really strong. And then they were speaking about August time when the season was just about to start. I mean, my family had gone on a holiday, and it transpired my dad had came back and he'd got ill. He'd had like a deep vein thrombosis kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's a bit strange, not like you, because he's still playing sport and healthy. And just as the season was about to kick off the week before, I got the news that he had cancer. Oh, yeah, and literally within the space of him getting in August, he actually passed away in the September within that space of a month. And it's one of them things. I'd gone from 18-year-old being on a high, ready for the first season at Halifax, and all this happened with my dad. And literally, he passed away in the September. I'd gone on loan to work again just to be at home with the family, and it was kind of everything transpired at the same time. In the meantime, just to compound me luck, the Peter Butler, who was there at the time, the assistant manager, who's good friends with Trevor Morgan.
Yeah.
He actually they got sacked at the same time. So it was kind of a culmination of everything. I ended up leaving there and going to, I got released because my head wasn't in the right space, and I went back to Barrow. And in that summer, Peter rang me and said, look, a friend of mine's in Australia at Sorrento. Do you want to go out there for a month? Because if you go out there and do what we believe you will, within 2 months, you'll be at Perth Glory in the A-League.
Yeah.
I was like, 18, fantastic opportunity. Went up to Sorrento, met Trevor, played there for nearly 5 weeks. We couldn't really get over the line because they were part-time then. There wasn't really much money there. And I was like, look, I need to get back to England. I need to have a real go at football, and we'll see. And then that's how the relationship started. And then I'd done a year at Barrow, and it was about 3 months before the end of the season. And I got a random phone call of Trevor saying, look, I've got a job in Singapore. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah. So the agreement was that I'd come. I was only going to play the three months over the summer period, just to help them out for a little bit. Because I had an opportunity to sign for Carlisle United, because they'd already pre-agreed to kind of half sign me, but they're in administration. But just a random phone call. Do you want to come to Singapore? I was like, well, random. Never been there before, but if you're telling me it's worth it, Trevor, I'll come.
How much did you know about Singapore before you got on the plane?
Not a thing. I'd only been there once, and that was via when I went to Australia. So I knew little bits about it. Obviously, I'm not naive enough to not know what Singapore is, but to actually, when you land there. So I'd have been 19 then, and my wife was 17, and my wife now was with me then. So we actually all came out together. So she took the leap of faith. So she's 17, I'm 19, never been out of the country really, apart from going to Spain or wherever we went. And we literally rocked up into Singapore, landed, and I was like, right, this is Singapore then.
And I want to talk about the first couple of days in Singapore. Obviously, the humidity would have whacked you nicely, and getting into the groove of Singapore football. That was back in 2001 when the league was still decent, right? And what did you make of the level and the standard? Obviously, you played at State League in Western Australia with Sorrento, go back home, and then come to Singapore. What did you think about the standard then?
It was weird because you come in like a preconception of see whatever it is. You kind of get on with it and play. We had a good span. We had Danny Hill at centre half. We had Cy Harlan. We have Tony, myself, James Morgan was there, Trevor's son at the time. So we had a decent group, and then we had a good group of Singaporeans as well, a nice mix. So we were a team that was expected to do absolutely nothing. And when we actually all got together, we just all clicked. I said, one of my biggest regrets is that I actually had, when all the stuff happened with Carlisle, I left and we were in the quarterfinals of the Cup, and we never got that far. And I really thought we had an opportunity to achieve something, because when I was there, we didn't. I think I lost 2 games or something there. But the actual standard was a good standard. You had players in there where internationals that played. You had local lads who were aggressive and strong. The one thing I did find, I didn't think I'd go over there and they'd be so aggressive.
Yeah.
And so physically strong and that aggressive, because you kind of don't think of it being like that. You think of it more being more technical, but it's really like high end. And I remember doing the first training session. Oh my, I finished, and I was just sweating everywhere, dripping everywhere, and literally I was like, my God, this is going to be like insane. It was the best thing I've ever done. The one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I had that spell there. We'll go back to obviously talking about it in a minute, but when I had that spell in there, because I'd done 3.5 months. I still believe the reason I got to move to Sheffield Wednesday when I went back is because I got that fit in 3.5 months over there. When I went back to England and played, it was just easy.
Really?
I never felt tired. I never felt tired because you're so used to running that humidity for 90 minutes for like 3 months and 4 months nearly. It's like it was a breeze going back to England.
So maybe that's the way that the team should really think about preparing for preseason. Come out here in the humid and then train, then go back, because then it becomes a bit
Yeah,
easier.
well, I think a lot of them do. I think that's why you find a lot of them do go away to Dubai and places like this. And I think a few have been to Singapore, haven't they? So I think it definitely helps at the humidity and stuff like that. And as I say, with England, it's always a difficult one for us because when we go to any tournament, we never get the opportunity to really be that tested week in, week out. So I think it massively hampers on what we do.
And your next move from Sengkang, you went back to Borough, but let's talk about Sheffield Wednesday. Because at Borough, you started banging in a few goals, and that's when people started looking. That's a big move from Borough to Sheffield Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just mental, really. I said I'd had a year at Borough and done really well, and I was doing a few trial games at Carlisle. Carlisle got me back from Singapore. I landed for about 3 weeks, and they couldn't get any deal over the line. And I got a phone call off Kenny Lowe at the time, who was my manager of the team before. He said, "Look, just come back and play football." I'd got disillusioned with the Carlisle thing, and that I wasn't going to be a pro again. And I got a job. I actually started I worked back into the factory. So I was being a factory worker during the day and football at night. And then it was just one game. I got around. The guy that actually scouted me was a guy called Bill Green, who's not just passed away last year, unfortunately. He was a fantastic gentleman. And he actually came to a christening on the Sunday in Newcastle. So he came up to this christening, didn't have a game to go and watch because he was a scout. He said, "I'll just go and watch this little game round the corner at Bishop Auckland versus Barrow." And he is little old Grant Holt playing, and I managed to score a hat-trick. Didn't know who was in the crowd, just done what I'd done, walked away from the game. And I got a phone call about a week and a half later saying, and I was like, right, okay. And it was off the Barrow manager. He went, "Look, we've got a game tonight, but I need you to come and see me in the office before. So come like half an hour early." And I was like, he never rings me to come in half an hour. I was like, he better not drop me because I scored like 10 goals out of like 15 games.
Yeah.
And I walked in his door and he said, "Just to let you know, you're not playing tonight." And then me being me is like, "What do you mean I'm not playing?" What? I didn't even let him get the last sentence out before I was like, da 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 da. I was like, "No, you're going on trial to Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow." And I was like, "Wednesday in the Championship?" He's like, "Yeah, you're definitely going. You're not playing tonight. We'll make up an excuse because we don't want anyone to know what's going on. We'll make an excuse."
Which level were Borough at? Were they non-league or conference or?
Yeah, Barrow were conference in National League South. National. It was. Yeah, so it was basically about for them to the Championship was about 8 steps, something like that.
That's what I was gonna say. You went like 8 steps up to Championship. Obviously,
yeah, 8 steps.
Obviously, they've seen something.
They've seen something in there. Yeah, they've seen something in there. There is a weird time with the club because obviously they were kind of we actually got relegated when I went there, and they were really struggling at the time. But I always remember I've gone from playing in front of Barrow and like 800, 900 people in Barrow. And then I remember walking in, I signed on the Thursday or Friday, and I trained on the Friday. I walked in on the Saturday, and it was a home game. And I remember walking up, parked my car up where everyone used to park. Didn't really know what to do. I had to walk up, and I'd done it at Halifax a little bit, but you now got to talk on a different level with Sheffield Wednesday. And I remember there being about 800 people just trying to get autographs on the way in. And he's like, "I just played in front of them. Now 800 of them want autographs." And to walk in the stadium, that iconic stadium, to walk in nearly 33,000 people being there, I was thinking, oh my goodness, like if I'm involved in this. And then literally about a week and a half later, I'm now getting the shout, "Look, Grant, come on, you're going on." I'm like, right, okay, I'm going on in front of 32,000 people at Hillsborough. A little bit nerve-wracking, but I said, that's what it was. And it was one of the, sometimes you have to pinch yourself a little bit, like, do I belong here after what I've done last week? So it's just a bit strange, really.
And I want to ask you, what was your mindset like? Because you have, like you said, you've gone 8 steps up. You're in the dressing room, and you're thinking like, what else? Like you said, did you have like a imposter syndrome at that time? Like, I don't belong here, or were you confident that this is your stage?
No, massively. I said it's the only time I've ever walked in a football club and thought, do I belong at this level? Am I good enough to hold my own at this level? Can I do it? Could I achieve this level and continue to do it? And it is doubtful. I don't care what anyone says. You walk into a club where you've gone from, even when I've been in the league, but to come back to it, to be that club, that iconic, there's people think of Sheffield Wednesday now as not really a big club, but in them days they were massive. You think Wardle, the Canio, the things they achieved, the players that they're at that football club, Hurst, people like that we've watched in the Premier League and stuff for years. To actually go in there and be part of them names, Kevin Pressman's still in the club, and you're like, oh my goodness, like Kevin Pressman, I've seen him play for years, and it was daunting. But I said I got in the game and started playing, and as soon as I started playing and being involved in it, it was kind of like, well, you're here now, so if you're here, just go and have a go. And it was kind of, and I still believe if I'd gone to Sheffield Wednesday at a different time, where there wasn't so much, so we got relegated the year after, was pressure in League One to get promoted. If I'd gone there the year where they were stable, like with the year, about 2 years after they got stable and they got promoted, if I'd gone then my career would have gone, I think, that way then with Sheffield Wednesday. But sometimes your football doesn't work like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I interviewed Carlton Palmer a couple of weeks ago, and he made his name at Sheffield Wednesday as well. So it's a huge club. And, and he said some very nice things about that. Your stint at Sheffield Wednesday only lasted one season, right?
Yeah.
And then you moved to Rochdale.
Yeah.
How did that move come about?
It was just one of them things. Like I said, I was just needed to get out. The club were in a place I wasn't playing. I needed to play. I'd learned so much stuff. I always say I had some fantastic forwards there, and Mark Robbins is a massive inspiration of mine. I was with him for that season. He showed me so much, and I just need to go and play football. And I got a phone call of Steve Parkin, who was the manager at the time. He said, look, I know what you're about. I seen you play at Barrow. We came to watch you. We couldn't do the deal because we knew it was going to be money, and Sheffield Wednesday wanted to sign you. Just come and put the smile back on your face like you were at Barrow. Run around, do whatever you need to do, and you'll achieve something. And that was all he said to me. And when I heard them words, I was like, yeah, I'm coming. So they agreed. The fee, I think, was about £10,000 or whatever it was. They redeemed the money back. I'm sure they regret that, Sheffield Wednesday at the time. And that was it. I just went, and it was like being in, like a weight had been lifted. I walked in. I was coming in with people knowing who I was a little bit because I'd been at Sheffield Wednesday, so it wasn't as big a jump as what it was.
Yeah.
And I just loved that football club. To me is massively in my heart. I absolutely loved it. The team we had, the fans, the way we were, the relationship, and everything just clicked for me. And it was just absolutely fantastic for them seasons.
I'm looking at your stats here. 75 games, 34 goals. That's not bad a return for a striker, isn't it?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, that, actually. I was very fortunate. We had some good players there that were probably underrated. Obviously, we had Ricky Lambert with me at the time, who went on to do what he achieved. But we had other players who had good careers, good solid careers in Championship and League Ones and stuff. So we had a good team. And I said, he just made the better of me because we had a good mix. We had older lads, we had young lads, we had middle ages, and everyone just really wanted to win, and everyone enjoyed each other's company. And it really gave me that sense that I belonged, and then everything kind of came on top of that, really.
There was 2 seasons there. I think you were so successful that another huge club came in for you. This time was Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, it was a similar thing. I didn't want to leave Rochdale, but I knew I had to go. The money was offered, agreed. You're looking at Nottingham Forest, knowing where they're going to go, really, because they're always another unbelievable team. And I was ready. I was ready to take that leap of faith to go back into that league, to really go and show people how good I can be. And I had no doubt that I was going to go in there and score goals and do well. And obviously, first season, I caught the tail end. We just missed out on the playoffs after Gary Megson, the manager, signed me, got sacked.
Yeah.
And then the next season, I managed to get 18 goals and Player of the Year. So it was great. And I said, even the season the year after, I kind of got shunted on the wing a little bit, which wasn't really good for me, but I still done a job for the team, and we ended up getting promoted. So you've got to look at that as a win, really. Yeah,
and were Nottingham Forest then in the Championship? They moved up.
No, we were League One, and then we got promoted to the Championship. And then I left the Championship to then move on to Shrewsbury.
Yeah. So you think about, tell us a little bit about Nottingham Forest. We know that it's a huge club, right? You know the names like Stan Collymore. You got Roy Keane, who played there. Juninho. Stuart Pearce. You can keep going on, right? What sort of a culture they had at Nottingham Forest? And what happened to the club since? It's
a club where you walk through the door, and especially if you're an English if you're English and you realise who Brian Clough is and what he achieved there and stuff like that, and you walk in the door and you can just tell it's steeped in history in terms of what it is, and there's a respect there, and you respect the old lads who walk through the door regardless of whoever's played there. The fans expect a level of performance regardless of what level you are, or what if you're in League One, Championship, Premier League. They expect a certain level of what they deem to be football and what they deem as professional footballers, because what they've seen from years gone past. Since I was there, it's kind of tinted. Too many people came in, tried to tinker with it, try and change it for what it is. And I think they've been badly advised for the last 10, 15 years, 10 years at least, in my opinion. They've gone round and round and round. And I'm sure at some point, I think now at the moment, they're in a good place with the manager and the people behind the scenes. And it's a club that I know everyone says it should be in the Premier League. They're big enough and good enough to do that. So for me, they need to really implement. They're in a great place. I was up there a few weeks ago speaking to Gary Brazil and Chris Coyne, who's now obviously in the academy set up there. And the academy's in a good place. So and they're bringing people through, and that's what you need as a football club.
In 2008, you went on loan to Blackpool. Things were going well for you at Nottingham Forest. Why did you take that loan move?
I just knew that the season after I wasn't going to be there.
Okay.
So I think in terms of my season, I'd stopped and start. I was playing, wasn't playing. I was in, I was out. I was doing maybe 4 games and then not playing for the next 5. And it was kind of, I knew the writing was on the wall a little bit. So sometimes, it's like when the manager tells you, look, these have come in for your loan and you can go, that tells you everything you need to know in that one statement. So, and I just thought it'd be an opportunity for me to go up there, and they were in the Championship at the time. So I thought, well, I'll have a little trial up there. Went and played up there, and that was it. Really, there was nothing about it. It was just more ready to kind of show people that I was ready to move next season. So I knew it was going to be sold.
Yeah, that was just a very short stint. 4 games you played for Blackpool. Then the move came to Shrewsbury Town, and that was also going down a division, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, technically it was going down too.
Okay.
We'd just been promoted to the Championship, and Sheffield and Shrewsbury were in League 2. It all came about because a guy, Paul Simpson, who's one of the England managers now, one of the under-20s who won the World Cup, he's an ex-Carlisle guy, ex-Carlisle player, ex-Carlisle manager. So he already kind of half had me ready to go with him. And he rang me up and said, look, we've got a project. You're part of my project. You come in, we'll get promoted. And that's how I see it going. We've got the money to buy you, but you need to come and speak to the chairman. He won't do anything without you having a chat with him. I said, well, I wouldn't sign without having a chat with him anyway. I had about 5 or 6 other clubs that were ready to come in for me and sign me and offer the money. And I drove down. I met him on the Thursday. Thursday night I drove down. I met him Friday morning first thing, went in his office. I had a good chat with him. And he explained his vision, what he wanted, everything like that. And basically walked in and said, look, that's your money. That's what you want. This is your length. You're going to score me goals. If we don't get promoted, I'll sell you for 400,000 because that's what I think you're worth. But you ain't leaving the door without signing. And when someone's that forthcoming and that honest and that transparent, you think, Jesus, I need to sign here. And they're in League 2. And he went, look, we can't sign you to Monday because obviously it's too late now with everything that's done. But if you shake my hand, that's you in. And me being me, I shook his hand and said, look, I'll come in. Paul wants to do this. Signed the agreement and literally shook his hand, walked out. And then literally, as I got in my car, I had like 8 missed calls, or we just bid for you. Do you want to come and chat here? I was like, I can't. I've just shook my hand with someone and given me a word. And that was it. Off to Shrewsbury I went.
Because it was a club record. They signed you for a club record, £170,000.
Yeah, no pressure.
How was that like for you?
I've gone past the point where the money, it was irrelevant. I'd done it in League 2. I'd scored the goals before. I'd just gone off the back of scoring 18 the season before in League 1. So I knew I wasn't going to struggle with League 2. I'd done my homework. I knew they had people like Ben Davies, Chris Humphreys, Paul Murray, Graham Poughlin, to name a few. they had good players at the football club. I knew that I'd get chances, especially with Ben Davis. The quality that he could put in from dead balls and set pieces and crossing was perfect for me. Everything I wanted Ben Davis and Chris Humphries were: speed, crosses. So I knew I was going to score the goals. So there was never a tag. It was only a fact of my only job there was I just wanted to achieve promotion.
A couple of questions. Let's take some questions here. Khairul Anwar, he says, "Hey Grant," I'll just pull up here. "Hey Grant, who was the most talented player you played with or against during your time in Singapore?"
During my time in Singapore?
Yeah, in the S League. Do you remember?
It's a long time ago to try and name names. But I was saying to you before when I said I bumped into Amos Boone, literally Hong Kong Masters last year. I've not seen him for years, and literally I was like, I swear that's Amos over there playing for the Singapore. I was like, how come you've got a Singapore Masters team and no one ever rings me to come in it? And he's like,
I pray that you're not saying that he's one of the best players you played with or against.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Did you say one of the worst players I played with or against?
No, maybe, yeah. Probably that's more like it. But
I'll get a message off him.
I know.
But no, the same thing. There's some good players in there. The trouble we used to find there was I was probably one of the only ones who've gone there younger and went on to do something. What you found is a lot of lads who came later on when they were 35, 34, 33, especially internationals. They came later on, kind of what you'd say for a payday kind of thing, or where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, remember, now a lot of the younger ones didn't really go on to do much after that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the move to Norwich City. That was in 2009. Life-changing, was it?
It was. I was just at an age, I was 28-year-old. We just missed out on promotion with Shrewsbury, which I was absolutely gutted about, because obviously I was like, I don't really want to do another year in League Two. And I always said to the chairman when I shook his hand, he said, if someone offers 400,000, you can leave. Colchester had bid 300,000, then they'd bid 320, then they'd bid 330. And he's like, I ain't selling you for less than 4. That's your value. And all of a sudden, Norwich came and offered 350, and I'm thinking, I really want to go to Norwich here. They've got it was funny. The bid came in 2 days after they just announced that they sold 23,000 season tickets.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I really want to go and play in front of 23,000 at least next year. And thankfully, they end up coming and paying the money. And the chairman said, look, I've got the money, go down there. And you knew they were going to do something. They'd had 2 years of probably 3 years of falling. And they fell, and they were all talking about they brought a new chief exec in. They're going to restructure it. They're going to try and get back to where they were. And I kind of knew they were coming out with all the noises. They're going to keep the likes of people like Wes Houlihan, Adam Drury, all the boys have been in the Premier League and Championship. So I knew they were going to have a good go. So when the offer came in, I was desperate to get it done, and thankfully I did. And as they say, the rest is history, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bit of a Singapore connection when we talk about your time at Norwich City, because Barry Whitbread, who was my manager with the national team, he played there because Zach was actually a little boy who grew up in Singapore and played for Geylang United here. And you played with him, right?
Yeah, fantastic footballer. Just unfortunate for him, too many injuries along the way. He was with us in Championship and then the Premier League. And he's just one of them. But if he'd have kept fit, he'd have had so many more games. He just couldn't he got injured after injured. But what a fantastic talent. We used to always talk about Singapore, actually. So he used to say Geylang were better, but I was like, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about your first couple of weeks at Norwich City. You were in the Championship, and then you gained promotion with them to the Premier League. So I saw one of the images on the internet. You're wearing a T-shirt which said Uniborn Premier League to the Barclays Premier League or something like that. English Premier League.
The real Premier League.
Yeah, the real Premier League. Yeah, I saw that and I went like, wow. I mean, your story is almost as good as Jamie Vardy's story, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. It's mine's probably got more twists than Jamie's, to be honest with you, because he kind of went up and up. I went up, down, up, down, up, down, around the houses.
Exactly. Exactly.
And got there a little bit too low. It was a surreal moment. I remember sitting there. The actual shirt, I never done it. I never really. I hadn't written, thought I'll do this at the start of the game. I've done it before. It literally happened. It was me and Anthony McNamee, and we played the game. So we got promoted. We knew we were up at Portsmouth. We had one home game left. I got brought off about 15 minutes left to get the clap off the crowd and thing. Let everyone else. I think it was about 20 minutes or whatever it was. Let everyone else go on. And me and Anthony McNamee just looked at each other and went, "You know the beer's in there cold." I was like, "Is it really?" So in mid game, me and Macca walked in the dressing room, opened up a beer, sat there, out a beer, still in kit, and had some chicken wings, and we're just sitting there laughing to each other because again we just came off, so we're like, "Oh, we'll just go and chill out for 10 minutes, and then we'll go back out, and no one will be none the wiser." And it just popped into my head. I was like, the realization that I was in the Unibond Premier League and I'm now going in the Premier League at 29 to 30 year old, and you're thinking, it was probably the only time I've sat back and really thought about it. The actual realization that I'm going from that to that, from playing at like grounds at Blythe to now playing at the Stamford Bridge, and it just kind of thought, oh, I'll just write this, thinking nothing about it and and it went everywhere. It went everywhere, and I think that symbolic thing was actually more iconic than anything I've done that year. I think when people looked at that and thought, wow, he's actually gone from that level to there, and you forget where he's actually came from. So, but then I put more pressure on myself now because now I have to do it in the Premier League, which is even scarier.
No, but when I looked at it and I, kind of reflected on that message there, so many broken dreams in football, right? So many broken dreams. And that, everyone's starting to kick a ball at 5 or 6 or 7. Everybody dreams about playing in the Premier League. Everybody dreams about playing in the World Cup or Champions League. I mean, I'm pretty sure at that moment you didn't realize it, you wrote it down, but that must have been so special. Not just for you, your family, and think about your grassroots coaches and stuff like that. They all be thinking like, I mean, let's be honest, right? Because you played in Singapore, a lot of Singapore fans were like, hey, he played in the S League. Like, we know him, Try to claim a bit of, I would say, credit for that. And it's really nice of you to say that, the part of the journey in Singapore actually prepared you for football. But what was your mindset then, like saying that now I finally reached the big time?
Yeah, it was just weird. It was just, it's like a hard sensation. It's a relief. You've had a season of hard work and you've done it, but mine was more relief. Like, this is 10 years work of sheer blood, sweat and tears to achieve this goal. And the good thing is, the guys that I'd done it with in the squad, there was probably only 2 or 3 of them had ever played in the Premier League. So every single person in our squad has never played there. So it was a reality of we were doing it as a group of players to achieve something all together, which was even more special. But for me, it was just I always say to someone, that we'll probably go on to the England thing in a minute, I presume. If someone had said to me that I'd be in the Premier League at 30, after where I was at 20, 21, you just laughed. But the way I used to do it was, mine was never about achieving the Premier League. Mine was just achieving small goals as I went on the way. Right, I'm in League 2 now. Can I score goals in League 2 and get a move? I've done that at Rochdale. I got a move to Nottingham Forest. But one thing I was proud about my journey was I always backed myself. So, like, leaving the Championship to go to League 2, I backed myself that I was good enough to go and achieve the goals. And the same going to Norwich. I went to Norwich backing myself to be top goal scorer and get promoted. That was my dream. I didn't think I was going to be captain because I didn't know if Paul Lambert would come in. Yeah. But to get the captaincy, it was to be a good leader, lift the trophy and be top goal scorer. And then when we went to the Championship, it was exactly the same thing. It was like, can you score goals again? Yes, you can. Show everyone you can score goals. And if we get close to promotion, it's a big achievement. Because everyone forgets in that season, everyone tipped us to be relegated. They haven't bought anyone. They'll go down. No one give us an opportunity to do it. So to actually get close, I remember it's a funny story. Just quickly, just going off topic.
Go on.
So when I got promoted at Portsmouth, that's when we achieved it. Thursday night, we achieved it. And I remember I went to Portsmouth with Sheffield Wednesday when we got a week and a half before we got relegated. And that was the team that they had Harry Redknapp in charge, Jim Smith, they had Paul Merson, they had Sherwood and all the big hitters and this, that and the other. I remember walking through the hallway and they were actually walking with a trolley with all the champagne and stuff before the game.
Wow.
Because all I needed to do was get 1 point against Sheffield Wednesday that's getting relegated. And I remember walking through and these trolleys like champagne and this and everything's going up and they're all getting it ready and the banners are there and the flyers are there. I'm thinking, you haven't done it yet. They did do it the week after, but they hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So, and I'd never been back there. I'd never played against them since. And I remember walking in that door thinking, Jesus, like I could get promoted to the Premier League like they did in this ground.
Yeah.
Knowing that years ago I'd walked in there just about to get relegated, a young fledgling where I walked in with not a care in the world and walked through the door and just like Portsmouth and hearing the noise and stuff. And I was like, we could be the other side tonight. And that was enough motivation for me in that game to go, I am going to get promoted because this is where, it was like a journey had gone full circle. It was like, this is my destiny to get promoted today in this ground where I'd seen that so many games ago. And and the relief that evening when we got the Premier League and the realisation is do you know what it was as well? I was at a club where I was wanted, I was adored by the fans. I knew that going up to the Premier League, I wasn't then going to get released and said you ain't good enough for the Premier League. I knew I was going to get an opportunity. So the fact that I got promoted, I knew that next year I've got a chance of going up against the big boys and see if I can do it again.
Yeah, amazing. Someone just said that your mental strength is unbelievable. They said I'll just pull this up now. He said, Max Faisal, he said, your mental strength is incredible. And which is also a great segue to our next question. I'm suppose you were already expecting it and put it out earlier. Were you disappointed not being selected for Euro 2012 despite being the second English top scorer in the Premier League this season? I want to spend some time here because I thought that was a travesty. Like, every tournament, they actually travel with 5 strikers, right? And that year, was it Roy Hodgson? Was it Roy Hodgson, right?
Roy Hodgson, yeah, he went with 4.
He went with 4. Like, he broke the trend and didn't take you to the European Championship. And talking about European Championship, it should have started last week. So it's timely that we actually talk about it, right? How disappointed, because I played international football. I can tell you every time I didn't get selected, it was like a stab in my heart. Like, you belong there, but you just didn't get selected. How did you feel?
Yeah, it was crushed. Of course you got to be crushed. When I knew that it wasn't coming, I knew that. So there's a process. Obviously, they ring you up, they get your medical records and everything behind you, and this and that. So you're close. You're definitely in the reckoning because you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, I must be in the reckoning here. The biggest problem I had was Fabio Capello was in charge, and he was in charge, and he was umming what was going to happen. And they had a friendly game about 2-3 weeks after he left. So they had a friendly game about 2 or 3 weeks after, and Stuart Pearce actually took over the game. And because he was 21's manager at the time, he decided that he wouldn't call anyone up out of when everyone was asking for me, Danny Graham, people like that, just to get called up to have an opportunity to have a look at them. People like John Ruddy, who eventually went. People got to get called up to actually have a go, but he didn't do it. He kept with the same squad, and he called up a few of 21s and stuff like that. And that was the moment, I think, that killed me. I think if I'd have gone and if I'd have been involved in that game, I think my opportunity then would have been to go on to be at the Euros under Roy Hodgson. But it's just one of them things. Everyone's got an opinion. The FA's got a different opinion. The biggest gripe with it is that he called up Andy Carroll, who only played 4 games that year, or whatever. He scored 4 goals, but that's Roy's opinion. That's why he's a manager, and you live and die by your decisions, and that was his. And I'm not naive enough to be in football to think that it's always perfect and rosy, because it isn't. And as I said, everyone's got an opinion. There's players I don't believe are very good. Some people believe they're better than they are. And that's what football's all about. But as I said, I'd be lying to say I wasn't crushed and absolutely devastated, because it's the absolute pinnacle. The pinnacle to be capped by England, especially one of the nations of how historic it is in terms of football, to actually achieve that goal of getting that shirt on your back and be there in national anthem stuff. But like I said to people, I achieved much more than I should have with my ability. For what I achieved with my ability, you've got to look at that. And I always look at the positive. I achieved nearly everything and nearly the impossible. But it wasn't meant to be. But how do you look back and you think, if I had turned around to the non-league and said, "Oh, I just missed out on England when I was 32," do you know what I mean? You'd have been like, "Nah." Well, so I think if I'd have been earlier, I think also it was the age thing. They were a little bit like, what's the point in taking a 31-year-old to the Euros when he's not next year? We might as well blood in the younger ones. They're going in a new direction. Roy had to do something. And to be honest with you, the Euros were horrific anyway, so I wouldn't have wanted to be there because we were absolutely god awful. To be honest with you, there's a positive at the end of it.
I know. I just don't want to remind you of bad memories of that incident. But who were the 4 strikers that he actually picked in the end? Andy Carroll was one.
I think Andy Carroll was one. Wayne Rooney was the other one. I think Jermaine Defoe. And I think I can't remember who the other one was. I think it was maybe a winger. Did he not take Theo Walcott? Was it maybe?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I think he maybe took 2 wingers and this. But as I said, they're not bad players, are they? Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
I said, the thing